I'm Taylor.
I'm Melissa.
This is our Cinema Romance. First of all, I want to thank everyone who has been watching the channel so far. If this is your first time joining us, please do subscribe. If you've joined us before and you haven't subscribed yet, we would love it if you would. And certainly like the video and leave us comments.
We love comments.
We do enjoy getting comments. This week, we had planned on discussing the movie Barbarian. Barbarian is a movie that we both we both enjoy and appreciate immensely.
Yes.
We had technical difficulties, and then we tried to re-record it.
We tried.
And we ran into some other mix of sort of technical and
human error difficulties. Twice more.
Yeah. And at that point, we had talked about it so much that it was kind of impossible for us to talk about it in a way that didn't feel like scripted.
Yeah, we as much as we love Barbarian, after talking about it 3 or 4 times, we couldn't do it another time.
It's like, wait, did I already say this?
Yeah, so we're going to come back to Barbarian.
Yes.
But we decided to have a surprise show today.
Well, yeah, okay. Basically, we're gonna move up one of our recurring segments, and I'm gonna talk about what happens in the second act of John Carpenter's The Thing.
Woo!
This is one of my other favorite examples of what happens in the second act. So, for those who have not seen it,
go see it. See it.
Okay.
See it.
So, John, this is a gory movie.
Oh yeah. There's some gross stuff.
Having said that, it's all really over the top. When this movie was released, it came out in 1982. Universal Pictures had this was their tentpole release for the summer. They did not realize that the movie that they released 2 weeks prior would go on to be a financial and cultural juggernaut that really just sort of made any other movies about creatures from outer space feel just sort of beside the point.
So Taylor, what was this other alien movie that happened to come out that same summer?
E.T., the Extraterrestrial, was released, I think it was 2 weeks before The Thing.
Yeah.
And Universal thought E.T. was going nowhere, and they thought The Thing was going to be their big summer hit.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it anyway.
It did not happen that way.
It did not happen that way. The Thing was all but buried.
Yeah.
And it was, in addition to being a commercial flop, was also a critical flop. A lot of the criticism when the film was originally released did stem from just the gore, how the movie seemed like it was just trying to shock people. What I don't understand about any of this is the effects are, again, the stuff that's happening, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's believable in that sense.
Yeah.
But this is not what human bodies do.
Yeah, we're not seeing human anatomy. This is not it does not look real. It looks incredible. It looks jaw-dropping. There's even a moment in the movie where the characters themselves have to joke about the absurdity of what they're seeing.
Yes, exactly. One of the most famous lines, and I will bleep this, but so you gotta be fucking kidding me. Yes, because what the guy's looking at is just so it's just so over the top.
Yeah.
I remember when before I ever saw it, I remember hearing somebody on the school bus talking about there's a scene where a dog's head splits open. And I thought to myself I don't want to see a dog's head split open. Except that's not
that's it.
It does, but they're like flower petals.
Yeah, it does not look like a dog when that happens. It is clearly another organism, a different thing.
That's sort of the negative side of it. On the positive side, which Melissa's already alluded to more than once. The effects are incredible.
So good.
I think of the 1980s as the golden age of physical effects, and I'm thinking about things like American Werewolf in London, Cronenberg's The Fly. I mean, these are also great movies. It's not like you only see them for the special effects.
Yeah, but that's a big part of it.
People knew going into it, like, the effects are supposed to be incredible.
Or even think about Michael Jackson's Thriller, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And for my money, The Thing is...
I think The Thing is the best.
I mean, there are people who would call out American Werewolf. I know you're a big fan of The Howling.
I love The Howling.
Rob Bottin did the effects in The Howling. Also did the effects for The Thing.
And I think, if I remember from other videos we watched, he basically collapsed after the movie. Gave himself exhaustion and really got physically ill because he worked so hard on those effects.
Worked so hard, I mean, like, designing them, building them, I think operating them.
That having been said, I don't think that this movie should scare you off. Because, it's...
There's a lot to recommend it. And, again, It's not like watching a recreation of, a surgery or an autopsy. Or, it's all well in the realm of fantasy, or science fiction horror in this case.
It's so cool.
So what happens to the second act of The Thing?
They have to figure out who is human and who's not.
Here's what I love about The Thing. That's it. That's what happens in the second act. And what I love about this, the two other videos that I've done on this so far, the first one was Back to the Future. What happens in the second act of Back to the Future?
Marty has to get his parents back together.
Yes. And in that one, I think Back to the Future is a great one to talk about because it has, like, the second act, what the main character is doing in the second act is only tangentially related to what he needs to do, like, as the hero of the movie. In the second episode, I talked about what happens in the second act of Poltergeist. Melissa.
They have to rescue Carol Ann.
Yes. And I think Poltergeist is noteworthy because it proves that if you do the second act well enough, you can do anything you want in the third act.
You can go bonkers.
Yes. So The Thing is neither one of those, although we'll see a little bit of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
What I find great about the way The Thing handles the second act is there is a line where Kurt Russell's character, Mac Reedy, he does say, we're going to find out who's human. And that's about it. So it doesn't feel like he's talking to the audience.
No, because we're almost with them. And so when he's talking to the characters, it's like, yeah, we want to see, the audience wants to see who's human too. They don't know who's human. We don't know who's human. Like, we're with them.
And this is one of the things that I think really stands out about The Thing. There's no audience proxy.
Yeah.
In the 1982 version of The Thing.
Yeah. There's only the dog at the very beginning following the dog in, and that's it.
We follow a dog into this camp, and we're not going to go into a deep synopsis, but basically there is an organism from outer space that can imitate any life form perfectly, destroys the thing that is being imitated in the process. The movie starts. There are a bunch of Norwegian scientists from a Norwegian outpost. We're laughing because there's some
very funny lines about it.
Yes. They are shooting at a dog that runs into the American outpost in Antarctica, and that's how we, the audience, discover the American outpost. That's how we meet the characters in the outpost. And at that point, we just pick up who these people are, what their relationships are, who maybe likes each other and who
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't need an audience proxy.
No.
It doesn't need to like delineate Team McReady versus Team whoever.
Yeah.
Like we just discover this as we're watching, and I feel like the way it handles the second act is part of that.
Yeah.
Because Back to the Future, the number of times that Doc asked Marty, how'd it go with your pops? Is he gonna ask her out? Or the number of times in Poltergeist that we are reminded what they're trying to do, the challenges that they're facing. And that's a common filmmaking device to sort of restate, what the plot is, what the stakes are.
Yeah.
In The Thing, we know what the stakes are.
Yeah.
We've seen what this organism can do. It doesn't need to constantly remind us what's happening. He has the one line, we're going to find out who's human. And then we just proceed to watch events as they unfold.
Yeah. It helps, I think, that it kind of takes place, it feels a little claustrophobic sometimes, like, because these people have to stay together. Like, they're in Antarctica. It's not like they can be like, I'm going to my sister's house up the road. Like, no, they have to be there together. So we kind of feel this claustrophobia and like their like paranoia and stuff just keeps growing, and like we don't know what's going on as an audience either. It's just done incredibly
very
well.
much, and in the same way that the characters don't know who's human, we don't know who's human. We don't know where the threat is coming from. We don't know where the next like gory effect is gonna what's going to precipitate that. It's all happening to us at the same time that it's happening to them. Melissa, when does the second act end in The Thing?
The second act ends when we figure out who is human and who is the thing.
Exactly. And this is even more so than the beginning with the just, casual, we're going to find out who's human. That at no point do they say, okay, now we know.
Yeah.
There's one person, one of the reasons why they are as isolated as they are is because the character Blair, played by Wilford Brimley, doing an amazing Yosemite Sam impression at times. He has destroyed all their communication equipment as well as the helicopter because he doesn't want this organism to have an opportunity to get to the mainland.
Yeah.
So they have had to sequester Blair in a shed. And there's an incredible scene with a blood test.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of that scene that we have now determined who is human and who is not, except for Blair.
Yeah.
And just as savvy movie watchers, we know that they're not going to go out to the shed, give Blair the test, he's fine, and then they wait for summer.
Yeah.
It's of course Blair is going to be the thing. So we know the second act is over.
There's some just great character moments, even as just lines in that movie. There are so many just lines that stand out, and they're all kind of just these very like dry, like I think I'd like to come inside now. Like, I don't want to be out here anymore.
I want to come back inside. Don't you understand me? But when they do get out to the shed, this is where we get a little bit of the same lesson that Poltergeist teaches us. This is one man who has been in a shed for I don't think it's even been a day.
Yeah.
Like maybe the better part of a day. When they get out to the shed, Blair's not in it. There's a loose floorboard. He has managed to dig a tunnel.
Yeah. Through the ice.
Okay, through ground that has probably not been anything other than frozen solid for epochs of time. like whole eras
Yeah.
of like planetary evolution. And yet this one guy, even if it is the Thing, has managed to dig a tunnel like 6 feet deep, probably about 10, 12 feet long, enough for these 3 other men to climb down and into. There's a cave where he's begun assembling a spaceship.
Like out of spare parts.
Yeah. Like a craft that is capable of interstellar travel that he's put together out of stuff that he found on a base in Antarctica in 1982.
But the reason, though, like, we don't question that when we're watching it. It's like, why not? Like, because the film has done such a good job of, like, building everything up. It's like, sure, this is the next logical place for it to go to. It doesn't even seem... When you think about it now, it's a little bit like, that seems a little ridiculous. But while you're watching it, it's like, why not?
This is the point. Well, because it's... Why not? Because the second act works.
Yeah.
The second act is done... Again, it's the same thing as Poltergeist.
Yeah.
It's done so well. The third act, like, logic becomes even less relevant.
Yeah. It doesn't go as bonkers as Poltergeist.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, this is just a very small part of it. For me, the biggest success of the second act is the way that it just sort of happens.
Yeah.
It's not explained. We're not constantly reminded of what's going on, what the stakes are, what the goal is. It's just intrinsic to the story, and they never need to call attention to it. The audience understands when it begins. They understand when it's over.
Yeah. I will say, this is one of the few, like, I guess, it is a horror movie. Is it horror sci-fi? Is it...
Going according to my favorite definition is science fiction has to explain what's happening. This is, according to that, this would be properly understood as science fiction.
Okay.
Because there's like, Blair even creates this computer model that shows, like, how assimilation happens.
That's fair. I was going to make the point, we're not calling this horror, but sometimes if it were a horror movie, sometimes in horror movies you point out things that people do that are stupid or illogical, or like, why would they do that? There's really nothing in The Thing that you're watching and wonder, like, why are they doing that? Everything is very organic. Like, it moves along like, that makes sense that they would do that. That's, for this situation. And I think it really keeps it grounded, despite the fact that we're seeing these over-the-top effects that are just defy everything we've seen before. But we go with it because everything else is grounded.
No, absolutely. So this wraps up kind of like my 3 favorites that I enjoy talking about. At this point, I will probably branch out, try and find some more recent stuff. There are plenty of other examples that I also love to talk about. I'll find some examples of movies where I feel like the second act does not work. There are some movies that I think anyone would struggle to articulate what happens in the second act at all.
Yeah.
Don't know if we're going to be ready for Barbarian again quite so soon as next
we got
week.
burned.
But we will come back around to that one. In the meantime, though, please do like the videos, subscribe to the channel, leave us comments.
Thank you.
For now, I'm Taylor.
I'm Melissa.
This is our Cinema Bromance.